In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut this stylish wrap dress. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern and I've marked out my basic measurement, which includes my shoulder to bust, under bust, waist, and then blouse length. So for my blouse length, I added about 5 inches after my waistline, but you can go ahead to measure what is okay for you. Although I had an extension while cutting. Now mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus half and come down by 1 inch. Mark a basic neckline of 3 inches, come down by 3 inches and I'll connect. This will be serving as a guide when drafting out the pattern. So from here, I'm going to go ahead to place my ruler and connect to the shoulder. The next step is to go ahead to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. I'll mark and draw a straight line there. Now, whatever you have at the shoulder, mark it back at your chest line, which is your shoulder divided by 2 plus half, because this dress has a sleeve, and connect. Now, place your tape and find the midpoint and mark. Come out by ½ inch. Here, you're going to mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Now, place your tape, connect from the midpoint all the way up, and from the midpoint to your bust circumference divided by 4. Now, after you're done marking this, the next step you're going to take is to go ahead to mark your darts. So I'm going to go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll mark this at the under bust, waist, and blouse length. Now I'm going to place my ruler and I will connect this all the way up and to the blouse length of my pattern. After marking this, I'm meant to extend this all the way to the bust line, which I'll go ahead to mark now. Extend this all the way to the bust line, and after extending this, I'll connect from the armhole all the way to the bust point. And after I'm done connecting at this point, I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake. I'll mark ½ inch here, 1.5 here. For a plus size, mark 1 here and mark 2 inches here. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll be connecting my marks. All those marks that I made, I'll go ahead to connect it all the way down. Now I'm going to place my ruler, connect to the under bust, and also connect at the other side of this pattern. The next step is to mark my dart intake on both sides of the armhole dart. Mark ½ inch on both sides and I'll extend it to the initial dart line that I have here. Now, this dart intake of ½ inch that I have on the armhole, I'll go ahead to extend it by 1 inch. That is ½ inch on both sides will give me 1 inch, and I will reconnect it to the armhole. So sorry for the double lines at this point. I'll just go ahead to reblend and also blend at this side. So I'm sorry for the double lines that I had while remarking this with the marker. Now it's time to insert my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Then that 1 inch dart intake at the armhole I'll mark. Then just add ½ inch because I'm not actually sewing the dress. I'll mark the under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace, and just add ½ inch for sewing. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace, and add ½ inch. Here, I'll go ahead to mark the hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add ½ inch. So, this ½ inch is not a standard. I'm just using this because I'm actually drafting it and I'm not going to be putting it on. So, just use any sewing allowance of your choice and I'll go ahead to connect my pattern from the bust, under bust, waist to hip point. So I'll be going up by the blouse length here by 1.5 inches and I'll go ahead to connect it all the way down. Now after doing this, I'll be marking all these measurements at the other side. But before doing that, let's mark my bust dart. To get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. That is, my shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So if you minus 15.5 from 17, you have 1.5. I'll transfer my measurement to the other side of this pattern. Now after transferring, I'm going to go ahead to come down where I want the neckline to be, and from here I'll connect to that point. And after connecting, I'll come up slightly from the waistline and I'll extend. So while cutting this, you're not going to like slant this all the way to the end. So I was supposed to leave like half-inch here. While cutting, I will not cut it through. So from this center now, I'll measure like 1.5 inches. You can use 1 inch, 1.5. This is because I don't want the opening there to be much, and I'll slant this to this side. I'll add like an extension of 1 inch for my blouse length, and I'll blend here out. Then go ahead to connect this to this point. After connecting, I'll connect from that 2 inches or 1.5 I came up by the side, and I will go ahead to reconnect, right? So after reconnecting at this point, I'll extend my dart legs so that it will match, and I'll also outline it very well and make a dot to indicate that there's a button at this side. Now I'll connect this side to the neckline, and that is what we have for the neckline. Then we'll now move over to the side also. From this center piece, I'll also still go ahead to measure the same measurement I have from this other side, which is about 1.5 inches from the center, and then I'll come down by 1 inch here also. Now just slant what I have here. This is just repeating what I have on the other side to this point. Blend out your dart, connect. Now this is what I have, and I'll connect to this point. After I'm done connecting, this is what the pattern looks like. So for this particular dress, you don't have to like overlap it that much. What you have to do is like add like half-inch or at the front side of the wrap effect, so that you use it to top stitch each other. Just like you can see in this dress, it was just placed and top stitched on each other. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and while cutting out, I'll also go ahead to blend the darts of this dress so that it's going to match up by the side while cutting it. And I'll just, after cutting this also, I'll cut the other side of the pattern. If you notice at the center of this pattern, I didn't really cut through on this side so that I'll be able to join the other side of the princess darts. So if you have any question regarding this pattern drafting, please kindly go ahead to ask your question, or anywhere you don't understand. This is what I have, and let's go ahead to move over to the other side of this pattern. So for the back pattern of this dress, I'm going to be adding a zip since we are top stitching the front, and you can use 1.5 to 2 inches. I marked a basic neckline of 3 by 1 inch, and I marked the shoulder just the same way we did that for the front. The only difference is that the shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5, and then I still added my additional 5 inches after that. Now let's go over and start marking our dart. Mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to place my ruler to connect. Now after I'm done connecting, I'll be marking my dart intake. I'll come down by 1 inch here, mark half inch on both sides, go ahead to connect this all the way up, and I'll also connect at the other side of the pattern. Now I'll be extending this to the lower part of this pattern, and I'll also go ahead to repeat this at the other side. Now after marking, what I'll do is to go ahead to insert my body measurements. At the bust, I will mark the bust circumference divided by 4. Now all the measurements will start after the zipper. Since there's no dart, add your sewing allowance here. At the waist, mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake, replace, and add your sewing allowance. Now at the blouse length, go ahead to mark your hip circumference divided by 4, then add your sewing allowance to the pattern. So after I'm done marking this, I'll just go ahead to place my ruler to connect. I'll connect from the waist to the upper part and all the way to the lower part of this blouse. After marking that, I'll go ahead to come up by 2 inches or 1.5, which I'll connect it to the blouse at this lower part. Now to take out the zipper bulge, I'm going to go ahead to mark half inch here, and I'll extend this all the way to the lower part, and I'll extend it to the upper part of the dress. So after marking this, I'll go ahead to reconnect the lower part and I will cut this out. So this is what you have basically for this pattern. For the back pattern, it is very simple. So after I'm done cutting this out, all you have to do is just to sew out your dart for the back pattern.